What's up, everybody? We're back on the bench today with the SCX10 Deadbolt. I absolutely love this truck. I haven't given it as much attention as I really wanted to so far, but it's been performing absolutely fantastically on the trails. These new trio wheels with the Proline Swamper tires, the custom bronze high clearance links that I made added a little bit of weight, but that's about all we've done so far. I trimmed the body here a little bit and tucked the bumper in, you know, a couple of things here and there, flipped the shocks around. The normal stuff that everyone suggests that you do to your Deadbolt RTR straight out of the box. And it's been great. I have no complaints so far. This has been an absolutely bulletproof truck. Haven't broken anything yet. Been abusing it pretty hard. And it climbs the rocks like a champ. But we've got a big pile of upgrades for it. This thing deserves some love. And so we took a quick pass through the Injora catalog, picked up a pile of parts for this thing that I think is gonna help it perform a lot better. I did also pick up a couple of other things from the local hobby shop that I think are gonna help this truck out a lot as well. So why don't we take a look at the pile of upgrades that we got for this truck and see how it's gonna make this truck perform even better than it already does. Okay, so like I said, we've got a big pile of upgrade parts from the guys over at Injora. I've also got a set of axles from SSD. These are the Pro 44, and these are a steel universal joint style of front axle shaft. And one thing that I've noticed with this truck that I'm really not a fan of is when you get over to an extreme steering angle, the steering is actually limited by these dog bones. I'm kind of depressed to see dog bones in a truck still in 2024, but that's what it comes with. It limits our steering angle. It also gives it a pretty notchy kind of surging feel at full lock when you're trying to get up something pretty steep. So these SSD axles should take care of that. They're also going to be a lot stronger than the factory units, so we shouldn't have to worry about breaking anything either. To go along with those, we've got a bunch of stuff. So heavy brass knuckles from Injora. This truck needs a lot of front end weight. So these big chunky heavy boys are gonna give us some of that front down low weight, as well as front and rear diff covers. Same story with these. We're gonna add a little bit of weight down low on the chassis. Speaking of which, I've also got a set of 15 mil extended hubs to go on these new axles. One of the things that I've run into recently, when I get flexed up like this, my suspension travel is actually limited by the body, especially on the rear. I can get maybe another 3/4 of an inch of flex out of this, but it runs into the body. And so I'm physically limited by the body. And I don't want to cut this. I do like this body. I don't want to cut these fenders if I can avoid it. So what we're gonna try first is the 15 mil spacers. These will add a little bit of weight. They are brass. A little bit of weight down low on each corner, and also push these wheels out to give us a little bit wider stance. Hopefully we clear the body. Hopefully we don't rub as much. I think that should help. While I was there, I also picked up the aluminum skid plate from Injora. So far, there is nothing metal connecting the two steel frame rails together in this truck. It's all plastic. So I want at least the center section to be aluminum. From there, I think we're gonna start making some of our own parts again. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a video on making bumpers, bumper mounts, cage, all that kind of stuff. That's coming in the future. For now, we're gonna go with the Injora skid plate to stiffen up the chassis a bit and to add some rigidity overall to the truck. Did also pick up some of the 60 weight low-C shock oil while I was at the hobby shop a while back. These factory shocks are leaking. They perform very well out of the box. They're not too bad, but I did lose the seals a while ago and they have been leaking pretty heavily. So I am gonna run some of this 1-Up blue grease, coat the O-rings in the shocks. We're going to go ahead and rebuild those, refill them with the 60 weight, and tune them a little bit, and that way they will perform much better, even better than when they were new, because when they were new they were maybe only partially filled with shock fluid at best. So we'll go ahead and rebuild those, install our brass parts in our axles, and then we'll take it back out on the rocks and see how it performs. Now with the axle shafts out, you can see here clearly where the dog bones wear severely on each side. The dog bones have become the limiting factor in the steering angle, so this outdated setup has got to go. Okay, well, at least these have some grease in them, unlike the TRX4M, which had no grease at all. Looks like the Deadbolt has grease, bearings and grease. Look at that, very cool. Now let's take a look at our SSD universal joint style Pro 44 axle shafts. These should give us an increased steering angle as well as increased durability. These are awesome. I'm a big fan of these. You do get sort of that notchy effect when compared to a CVD style, but we are going to be able to get more steering angle out of this setup than the dog bone, and it's also going to be much stronger, much more durable. We're not gonna break these. The factory style we're about to give up any day. We've got our Injora brass hubs. I'm not sure if they make different versions of these. These ones said they were heavy. They do feel heavy. As with most Injora stuff, comes with new hardware, which is nice. These are chunky boys, very heavy, especially compared to the factory setup, which weighs basically nothing. That's hilarious. And here's our Injora hub reassembled. They do not include bearings with this kit, so you gotta reuse your factory bearings. Not a big deal if your factory bearings are in good shape still. To go along with these hubs, I've got a set of these Injora 15mm spacers. Now these should push our wheels out, well, they will push the wheels out another 15mm. Should give us a little bit of additional clearance, save us from a bit of that body rub that I've been experiencing. I don't want to trim the body of this if I can avoid it. Hopefully this will help. We shall see. Now this system, when it goes on, just slips over your axle stub like that, and then it's got this little nut that screws on over the top of it, down over your wheel. That's going to secure everything in place, and that will push the wheel out a bit from the hub. I'll see if I like them or not. I'm not a giant fan of spacers in general. However, in this case, I feel like it does kind of need it. So we'll see. There is no set screw in these Injora spacers. I may add one, but it does not come with one from the factory. There's no set screw hole anywhere. So be very careful when taking your wheels off. This will just fall loose. Okay, so we got the rear diff cover installed as well. Same exact process as the front, same part in fact. And then I went ahead and pulled the rear shocks off because we are going to rebuild them. And not only that, we do also need to pull the skid plate out so that we can replace the skid plate. We've got the Injora aluminum skid plate. I did not want to go with the brass. I don't want to add really any weight to the chassis of this truck. It is not what it needs. It needs weight down low. I really want to do some metal axles and possibly some rear weights to go along with the front knuckles. But this aluminum Injora skid plate Really nice design. I dig this a lot. It's gonna add some rigidity, some stiffness to the truck, and it's gonna sound really cool going over the rocks. So let's go ahead and pull this guy out and we'll get this one in there. Here's our factory skid plate. Nothing particularly wrong with this thing, but you know, it's plastic. It's not particularly stiff. Over time, these threaded holes will strip out. You know, it's plastic. So you do have to disassemble most of the truck to get to this point, but this does give me a good opportunity to clean some of this grime out that you can never reach without getting to this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and get the new aluminum skid plate in. Back out here on the rocks today with the Deadbolt to see how it performs with its new upgrades. We got a whole bunch of stuff dialed in on this truck. We've got the new Injora brass diff, we got the brass knuckles, SSD Pro 44 axles, trio aluminum wheels, we have custom made bronze links, the Injora aluminum skid plate. One thing that was a little bit upsetting to me when I went to remove my transmission from the factory skid plate, one of the bolt holes stripped out. Just removing the screw stripped all the threads out of the bolt hole, so I'm only running with 3 bolts in the transmission. Kind of annoying, but it'll do for now. I am super happy with this truck. The thing looks great. The Injora spacers on the wheels have brought the width out a little bit. So now we're not rubbing on the body. So I actually get full articulation out of my suspension, and the thing absolutely climbs great. So why don't we hit up some of these rocks and we'll see how well this thing performs with this new set of upgrades. Alright, let's see how it handles this situation here. Pretty steep incline. Hook a tire, there we go. No problem. Right up it. And here's our hill climb. Remember, the stock Deadbolt could not do this. Look at that. Right up, all the way to the top, like it wasn't nothing. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. The Injora brass upgrades, the SSD axles, the shock rebuild, all had a massive, they all made a massive improvement on this truck. I'm super happy with the way it handles. I'm really excited about being able to take this thing out a little bit more and explore these trails a little bit. It feels great. It feels much more planted, much more stable, and definitely worth it. Definitely worth the cost of these upgrades. I gotta say, I'm very happy with how it performs now. Where it goes from here, we'll have to see. But for now, we're just gonna enjoy it on the rocks for a little bit. I have plans to build some custom parts. We're gonna do some bracing as well as maybe some body and visual mods. Plenty of upgrades in the install for this truck in the future. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Okay, that's our quick test crawl with the new bronze links installed on the Deadbolt. This thing handles absolutely wonderful. I love it. Big improvement with the new bronze links. The high clearance bend on the lowers really helps out. Really helps get over those. Really helps get over those ledges and little boulders and things. The only thing that contacts the rocks now is the tires. That's great. You're not running into your links. You're not coming down on them off of rocks. You're not scraping on them trying to get over rocks. It's really nice. It's added a ton of weight down low. It handles really well. It's performing great. I still think it could use a little bit more weight down low. I also think it could probably use a little bit more power and maybe a better servo. But hey, who knows? We'll get there at some point. But for now, I'm really happy with how this truck is performing. And we'll see how it goes from here. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.